All right, how's it going, y'all? Welcome to another edition of Thursday's Weekly Aksys Stream. Sorry, I'm clicking like a bunch of buttons. My name is Sami Fish. We're gonna be doing some Under Night review. Why I'm on the screen twice? Because I'm using my own footage here. I'll move it along so that it's not. Here you go. There you go. Now it doesn't look as dumb. Uh, how's it going, Helva? I hope you're having a good Thursday. I refer to the grid bar consistently in terms of decision making and stuff like that, and it's because I think it's one of the main driving forces of decision making. It's a very active core part of decision making, and Under Night's unique in the sense that there's two things that you have to balance in order, and you have one decision to do that. Not a lot of games have that, if any, honestly. But yeah, that's a really interesting part about it. So I always refer back to the grid bar because you can consistently make decisions using that grid bar. And it could be your big informant on whether a decision was strong or weak. In a neutral connotation. So that's basically what we're doing today. So I really like right here. One of the things I was really interested in seeing from Cap is that a lot of the times he would sort of back up into this range right here where 5C becomes very strong. As a sort of like a quick thing, really quick, is that one of the things that makes Linné really interesting is that she has two really strong ranges. She has the right in front of you range, super duper strong. And then she has her 2C, 5C range, which is like right around here. There's like a small middle ground here that kind of sucks. Moves like Wagner 5B that sort of take up this space faster than 5C do. You kind of want to be outside of that range right here. So like you're talking about like right here-ish. You want to be outside of this range right here into this range right here. So you're outspacing 2C and you'll be outspacing 5B. But you have your own Linné's 5C to counteract that, or Linné's 2C. Which is slightly scarier in that position, which is why I'm assuming that he's going for 5C here, because 2C on whiff is like the worst thing on earth. So it hooks you up, yeah, it's a low that's nice, so it'll catch people moving back, but while Wagner's in the corner, she's not going to be moving back. There's probably only two options of her movement, which is either forward moving or jumping over or assaulting over like that. So 5C is a really good option here, and this is something that you can, this is a good bit that you can learn in general, is that like when you have your opponent cornered like this, you have a nice life lead, as you can see. You have control of the grid bar. You don't really have to make a very hefty decision in this situation. The person who has to make hefty decisions is the player on defense, or the player on the weak side. So you can just sit back and relax, wait for their moment. And the thing is that like you really don't have to start making decisions until this cycle is up right here, which is what the Wagner player is actually going to be looking forward to. Not's going to be looking to wait this cycle out right here and probably get into right here until you make a decision or a strong like decision. And the reason why is because Not doesn't want to make a huge decision or make a mistake until that last moment. He wants to fight for two things. He wants to fight for getting out of the corner and also fight for this grid bar right here. Instead of maybe fighting for one thing, like just trying to get out, and then if it doesn't succeed, you might lose the grid bar, as opposed to the opposite. You might be able to get the hit, get the grid, and then like really run forward. So
Tom is too powerful for Andy. So
there we go. Gets a charge. Spends the chain shift really early in the cycle.
Too powerful for Andy.
So gets charged. No tech here. I like that quite a bit. Just gets up, avoids the meaty. Don't really take advantage of it, but seeing the scramble of the situation, we're going to get an early in the cycle chain shift. What does early in the cycle chain shift do? I should switch back to this. So early in the cycle chain shift is a really important thing for people to learn. This is one of the, I think, decision making on when to spend your your chain shift is, I think, one of the key factors that separates good from great players. So what are the reasons why you want to spend cycle early on? One of the reasons why you want to spend cycle early on is because you want to have the ability to use the chain shift in a positive or a strong manner, but you don't want to get punished for that cycle. As in, if you spend the cycle early on, then you have the ability to spend the majority of the rotation of the Vorpal cycle, or the grid cycle, sorry. You have the ability to spend the majority of the grid cycle basically playing for that cycle again, and you don't have to worry too much about the state of where everybody's blocks are. Unless the blocks are a tremendous, like, out of your favor, you have a good amount of time for you to fight for that favor, because throws, shields all affect that very, very drastically. So if you do it early in the cycle like this, you have all of this cycle here to fight with. You have all of this cycle to fight with. It's very, very good. But if you don't, if you spend it late, then you have to make decisions very rashly. And it will make it very difficult for you to make that sort of really strong decision, because the end of the cycle will sort of inform your decision making to your important pretty heavily. With time, you have a little bit more open ability to sort of make those decisions. So I'm not saying that you should always spend your grid cycle in this situation right here. It's actually sometimes better for you to just lord over the fact that you have Vorpal over your opponent. Like, you know, when you get Vorpal cycle, you have not only your Vorpal trait, but you'll also have an increase of damage. So there's benefits to holding onto it, especially lording over your grid blocks over the opponent.
Well, yeah, Cats is a dash block.
Solid first round from Knots in the second game, though.
Yes. Sammy, I agree.
Yep, Cat, good.
Oh my god, he shielded. What a crazy person. He shielded on run up.
Okay, that shield was a little...
Oh my god.
Okay, that shield was real...
Uni is such a weird game where you can really just like flicker a defensive option like that and people will lose their minds.
Oh, ADP trade. Oh.
There's very few games where you're like, you did something defensive? Oh, you're crazy.
Oh my.
So
Okay,
let's
nice
get down to this. So
nice
blocks,
okay.
dash up, walks back, presses 2B, reads the walk back or what's supposed to be a read on some sort of defensive option or something like that, and catches the walk back with the 2B. Very nice. But as we mentioned, if you're going to press a button, this is a very important thing to learn in fighting games in general. This is a very general fighting game thing that you can learn. But when you press a button in this situation right here, when you press a button, there's pretty much no reason for you not to press a secondary button afterwards, because you're already pressing the button. Like, if you really go through all of the possibilities that happens after you press the button, it's either A, you press the button and it kills the opponent, right? Or you get the hit, right? And in that case, pressing the second button is going to help you confirm. If you whiff the button, then you're just going to... you'll just die anyway. The 2C, let's say, which would be the button to press afterwards, or 5C. The button that you press afterwards in this situation wouldn't come out anyway, so it doesn't matter. Or you put it on block, then you get to start your block string. Everything that can possibly happen from pressing a 2B in this situation does not give you a reason not to press another button afterwards. So generally, when it's something that you'll have to train within yourself, but go back into your footage, and if you watch your old footage, if you see things where you're like, oh, I'm literally just pressing a button here and nothing else. This is something that I had to go through as a player that I eventually got over through a lot of practice. I am not smart, by the way. I'm a complete dummy. I am so bad at learning I'm bad at improving naturally. I have to do these sorts of things where I actively think about the stuff that I need to improve upon. And so one of the things that I improved upon is this, that if you're going to press a button because you feel like there's a gap or you feel like you can get a hit or something like that, even if it's the wrong decision, just understand that you should be continuing that. You should be hitting these buttons every single time as if they're going to hit. Because if they don't, whatever. If that's an entirely different decision. That's an entirely different question or conversation to have with yourself. You can have that decision. Basically, you're like, okay, well, should I have pressed this button? That's a different question. What am I doing after I press this button? It should always be I'm pressing another button, or, you know, I'm doing the thing that I need to do afterwards, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Spend the meter.
This is the most.
Nice. Yeah, God, I love this. I love being able to like sit here and like analyze this because I'm just like, you see it like in real time when you're doing the commentary, but commentary is like, oh, I'm still calling the match and stuff like that. But then I get to sit here and I get to talk about how cool it is to watch Knots like slowly get more confident as he's going through the set right here. Because how many times did we see like special 2-2C into like mids? Right? Or like special 2CC into like run up something. Like we never saw this, the extra thing. This is the thing that you kind of put the character together with, is that the get plus frames and you mix the shit out of them. And freaking finally, man, like you seeing the throws in, you're seeing the mix-ups, forcing your way in with meter. Like this is Wagner.
2Cs I've ever seen. He's like a race car. He's like running out of fuel right now.
This was real Guilty Gear. It felt like YRC trying to anti-air here. I felt like some Exert stuff.
He's like a
runs up. Just this game has gotten so scrambly now. This game has gotten so much more active than the first setups of the game because Knots has just amped up the pace. 3 win games in a row. Cap's feeling it. Knots is feeling more confident.
Wow.
Look at this confidence. Look at the combo. You love to see it. You love to see someone play like this. Mix, mix, mix. Do it again. Do it again. Very nice. That was so smart. You're feeling yourself here. You're going through all this mix. You're like, I'm going to mix it. I'm going to mix him. I'm going to mix him. I'm going to mix him. It didn't work, okay? It didn't work. What you would do if you were me, I'm definitely shield charging into 2CC, right? Or 2-2C. Instead, he goes for the mix-up right here. Expecting that, he was like, if a regular Wagner player would do this, Cap is like, I'm going to keep blocking, right? So Knots is like, all right, cool. Then I'm going to run up and try to throw you. Cap with good reactions, gets the throw tech late in the cycle. So what is Knots going to do? He's actually just going to backdash. He's not going to try to fight for this cycle. Super good. A lot of the times when you get in these situations, because of the grid cycle, your decision is informed, or your decision making is being informed by the grid cycle too much. So it's best for you to just do something better, like backdash, take positioning, do something else, because you just have like, you have a fraction of the second where the opponent is going to focus on keeping Vorpal cycle or winning Vorpal cycle. That is going to be their hugest priority at that moment. Just do something else.
Oh, the 2As were too far. Alright, nice by C, but no confirm.
I tried to punish, but a little bit too far. 5A is pretty reliable in that situation. It's got a nice hitbox because it's a standing 5A.
Nice block.
No cancel. And sets up the 2C very nicely. This is a reaction mix-up, let's say. I don't know how to put this in the right way. But there's reacting to things happening, and there's reacting to things not happening. Reacting to things not happening is far harder than reacting to things that are happening. Let's use an example. I think speaking it generally might actually be worse than speaking it into speaking it properly. So when you're reacting to something that is happening, let's say a move, right? If the move, let's say, has a total of 20 frames, then at any point during this 20 frames, you have the ability to react to it, most likely towards the end of it, if we're judging from normal human reactions. You you have the ability to react towards the end of it and think about, oh, okay, well, this is actually happening. I'm going to react to this, right? But if something doesn't happen, you have to basically, in your mind, understand that the entirety of the time that you're waiting for something, it has not happened. So that means including things being delayed, things being pressed mega late, and things not getting pressed at all. So you have all of this time that normally you get to react to, because your brain reacting to something is not like, oh, it's 16th frame, something's happening, boom. It's that your brain takes 16 to 20 frames on average for you to register that things are happening. And when you don't have that 16 frames of an action, an animation for something to inform your brain to let you know that something's happening, then your brain has to wait the entirety of that time, then understand that nothing has happened, then do a reaction, as opposed to seeing that 16, 20 frames and then reacting, right? So you just have this little added on. So this is what I mean by saying that reacting to nothing is harder than reacting to something. And so if we're going back to this,
Whoa. Relax, relax. Nice block.
So we get a no cancel force function. There's two things. There's like a couple mix-ups that go around a force function, but let's simplify it for this example right now and say that you either cancel it or you don't cancel it. There's a little bit of extra stuff that goes into it, but you can cancel force function in the special moves, which adds a little bit of an added layer to this, right? So no cancel. Cap recognizes that it hasn't canceled, and now he wants to react. At this point, this is why that 2C becomes great. Not only is it spaced perfectly, which is a different conversation to have, but also that it's because it hasn't happened, and Knots is such a great read for Cap's timing at this point, because he's just very confident. He's understanding his opponent very well. He's in a winning streak. There's just a lot that's going for him right now, that this is a very confident 2C that he presses.
Oh, 2C.
Perfect space.
That was really fun. I actually liked really reviewing that. I'm surprised that actually I had the other game also queued up for Akatsuki. Like I said at the beginning, I said at the beginning of the stream I was gonna actually go over Akatsuki and Linne, but I was actually having a tremendous amount of fun watching this one and analyzing it, so it ended up taking majority of the time. Thank you for stopping by. This has been basically me rambling for 2 hours, but I kind of wanted to do one of these anyway. I wanted to talk about like just learning and stuff like that, decision making, what to look at while you're analyzing match footage and stuff like that. It's an important skill to have, in my opinion. People learn in very different ways. If this is a way that you can learn, you know, that's great. This is one of the ways I learn. It's the main way that I learn. And I think that for Under Night, it is probably really important.